Welcome to our Explainer, where we break down big ideas. Today, we're jumping into an ancient Pali text to really understand a powerful path for purifying the mind. Okay, so let's dive in with this powerful image right from the source text. I love this because it immediately frames our topic not as just some random list of ideas, but as a direct, structured path. Think about it. Just like every single rafter on a roof is engineered to meet at the very top, each of these 7 factors is designed to lead systematically to one single ultimate goal. But before we can even think about climbing that path, we really need to get clear on what's holding us back. The texts are smart about this. They don't just give us the solution. First, they make us look right at the problem, these mental obstacles, these impurities that cloud our judgment and keep us from feeling focused and clear. These hindrances are called bojjhaṅga in Pali, and the analogy they use is just fantastic. Picture a lump of raw gold, but it's mixed with all these other metals. Those impurities make the gold brittle, dull, totally unworkable. Well, in the exact same way, these 5 hindrances make our minds rigid and prevent them from reaching that state of pure, focused concentration that lets us be our best. And if we're being honest, these 5 hindrances are things we all experience. First, there's sensual desire. And I'm not just talking about big things. It's that constant little pull toward the next phone notification, the next snack. Then you've got ill will, that simmering frustration when you're stuck in traffic, or that flash of irritation at a coworker. Sloth and torpor, that's that heavy, foggy feeling of burnout. Restlessness and remorse is that mind that just will not stop buzzing with worries or replaying every mistake you've ever made. And finally, there's doubt, that paralyzing uncertainty that just keeps us stuck. So, what makes these things grow? I mean, where do they get their power? The texts are super specific about this. They identify their food as agitation, which means unwise attention. This is the act of focusing on things in a way that just fuels these negative states, like dwelling on an insult somebody threw at you, or getting lost in a fantasy about something you really want. It's exactly what we're doing when we doom scroll or get lost in an imaginary argument in our heads. We are literally feeding the very states that make us feel terrible. Okay, so let's shift gears and move to the solution. It builds so logically from what we just discussed. If unwise attention is the junk food for the hindrances, then what's the healthy food that nourishes a clear and awakened mind? Well, this is where the 7 factors of awakening come into play. And this slide just illustrates the core contrast brilliantly. It's a perfect mirror image, isn't it? The awakening factors are presented as the direct antidote to the hindrances. They systematically clean up the mind, making it workable, radiant, and pure, just like that refined gold we were talking about. The term itself, bojjhaṅga, pretty much tells you everything you need to know. Bodhi means awakening, and anga means factor, or a component piece. So these are, quite literally, the 7 essential ingredients you need to achieve deep insight and liberation. Now, what's really beautiful is how the texts describe these 7 factors arising in this natural sequence. It's a cascade. It all kicks off with sati, or mindfulness. This clear awareness then leads to dhammavichya, which is investigating and really understanding what you're experiencing. That investigation sparks virya, or this energetic effort. And that effort gives rise to piti, which is a kind of non-sensual joy. This joy then settles down into passaddhi, a deep tranquility. And a tranquil mind, well, it can achieve a powerful state of samadhi, or concentration. And from that stable base, the mind finally arrives at upekkha, a state of profound, unshakable balance. Okay, so this all sounds amazing, right? But how do we actually cultivate these factors? It's not like you can just wish for them to appear. The texts point to a couple of essential prerequisites that you have to put in place to lay the groundwork for this whole process. First and foremost, the entire path is built on a solid foundation of sila, or ethical conduct, and this makes perfect sense when you stop and think about it. If our daily actions are creating chaos, harm, or regret, our mind is just never going to find the stability it needs to do this deeper work. This isn't about following rigid rules. It's about creating a life that actually supports a calm and clear mind. Another key condition is something called kalyana mitrata, which means good friendship. And this isn't just for ancient monks, this is for all of us. It's about surrounding yourself with people who actually support your growth and your well-being. The text uses this gorgeous sunrise simile, showing that having wise companions is as essential to this path as the dawn is to the coming of the sun. And this brings us to the crucial point, the absolute engine of this whole process. The direct food for the awakening factors is yonaso manasakara, or wise attention. This is the direct opposite of what feeds the hindrances. It's the conscious, intentional choice to focus on what's constructive, to look for what's wholesome, or to just simply be present with what's happening. It is a skill, and it's a skill we can practice in any given moment. So, what's the payoff? When these factors are fully cultivated and firing on all cylinders, what's the result? Well, the texts describe it as nothing short of transformative, something that affects both our mind and our body. This is where it gets really remarkable. There are these stories where just hearing these 7 factors clearly recited out loud was said to have a profound healing effect. When some of the Buddha's most senior disciples were gravely ill, this teaching was enough to restore their health. It's just a powerful illustration of that deep mind-body connection, showing how these qualities can bring our entire system back into balance. And, beyond the physical well-being, the ultimate goal is the complete liberation of the mind. The texts say that developing these factors leads to the end of the outflows, these deep-seated habitual tendencies of craving and ignorance that call all our suffering. This is the end of the path, genuine, lasting freedom. So when you boil it all down, this ancient path presents us with a very clear and practical choice that we make every single day, maybe every single moment. Our attention is the food for our mind. So are we going to feed it the mental junk food of unwise attention, letting ourselves just get lost in craving and frustration? Or are we going to intentionally nourish it with wise attention, cultivating clarity, balance, and real freedom? The choice of what to feed your mind is always yours, right here, right now.